So you want to ride your motorcycle in the winter months. Either you live in a warm climate, have a huge testicular fortitude, or you're just a good old-fashioned masochist. If you're looking to ride a motorcycle in the winter, one of the best ways to go about it is to have a winter beater. You're not going to want to take your precious Ducati or your $25,000 BMW GS out on the salty northern roads where the threat of a deadly corrosion is as much of a concern as riding into a pothole the size of a New Jersey looms. A cheap dual sport bike is really the perfect option for riding in winter. Let me explain. They can typically be found for just a couple $1,000s, especially if you're able to capitalize on the end of riding season closeout sales where riders relinquish their bikes for pennies on the dollar. A cheap dual sport will not only alleviate the stress of damaging your bike from salt, but the knobby tires and upright riding position lend themselves well to navigating potentially treacherous terrain. Having a dual sport bike dedicated to winter use will also be nice because it will be completely decked out in all-to-winter accessories like heated grips, windscreen, and handguards, but I will talk more about those later. Riding a motorcycle in an area where the roads are salted for snow and ice will inevitably lead with rust. It is recommended you wash your bike regularly when riding in areas that use salt, but luckily if you've opted to get a beater, you can just buy second-hand replacement parts without any guilt, instead of feeling obligated to buy premium parts from the KTM Power Parts catalog after you took your Super Duke adventure on a blustery joyride and seized every nut and bolt in place. Now there are a few things on your motorcycle you should be extra cautious of when riding a motorcycle in the winter. The big thing is tires. Tires offer far less grip when they are cold. If you store your bike in an unheated garage or, God forbid, outside under a cover in winter, you need to expect your tires are going to be hard as a rock when you go and swing a leg over it in the winter. So keep this in mind when you're riding. Ride cautiously and assume you're not going to have the same grip even once your tires begin to warm, as they will cool off rather dramatically when riding in winter temps. Be sure to check the tire pressure often, as well as dramatic weather fluctuations will cause a noticeable change in PSI. Also, if your tires are pretty smoked from tearing it up on the track all summer, maybe consider changing them before riding in the cold, or being extra cautious if you insist on making them work until the spring. We do have a nice selection of tires over at shop.yamanoob.co. If you're in the market, you can use our year, make, and model tool to find the selection of rubber that will fit your bike. If you know your tires are capable of keeping you upright in the cold winter road race, there are a few other accessories when outfitted on your bike that can dramatically improve your experience. The first of which is heated grips. Heated grips are just that. They're grips that are heated. That's kind of self-explanatory. They warm up and keep your hands comfortable. It makes a huge difference in cold weather. Trust me. I did a huge ride back in 2019 down to Galeana, Mexico, and on the way back up, it was about 40 degrees, cold, wet, rainy, and I really wish I had heated grips because my hands were not happy. Some bikes come with heated grips stock, some bikes require a monthly subscription fee to use heated grips, and others can easily have an aftermarket set installed. If you're going to be doing cold weather riding, I wouldn't skip the heated grips. While you're messing with the handlebars and installing some heated grips, it would also be wise to install some handguards, or as the cool off-road gatekeepers call them, bark busters. Handguards attach to the handlebar and protect your hands while riding. For winter riding, they will protect your precious phalanges from the wind, one of the biggest enemies of winter riding. And lastly, a windscreen is an absolute game changer for colder rides. There are plenty of options for most bikes, spanning from exact fit, color match fairings, and windscreen combos to universal eBay ones that'll work perfectly on your winter-beaten Frankenstein's Monster Dual Sport end-of-the-world bike. Now, once you're in possession of a winter beater bike, or have accepted the fact that your normal motorcycle may not be the same after riding in winter, it is time to make sure you are protected from the harsh elements. Gear is always important when riding a motorcycle, but even more so when riding in the winter. The winter's already cold, but going at any decent speed on a motorcycle is going to be significantly colder than that. Like I said, wind is the enemy. For example, if the air temperature is 40 degrees and you're riding a motorcycle at 55 miles per hour, the temperature of the air with the wind chill will be 25 degrees. 40 and 25 may only be 15 degrees apart, but anybody that lives in colder climates knows that 40 and 25 are drastically different. I mean, I'm sure I've got some viewers from Wisconsin or something that still wear shorts and t-shirts in 40 degrees, but buddy, that ain't me. We're based out of here in Texas, and anything under 60 is pretty cold for me. So anyway, it's going to be cold riding a motorcycle in the winter. There's no real way to alleviate that other than dressing appropriately and adopting the appropriate accessories on your motorcycle. So you can hang up the assless chaps for the season and instead get some cold weather gear. First off, you'll obviously want a full face helmet. No silly little brain bucket with the spike on top. You really shouldn't be wearing that anyway, but a full face helmet has vents. It's probably a good idea to close those ones on the fronts to minimize airflow in, but also keep one rear vent open. People who camp in the wintertime will be the first people to tell you that you need some sort of airflow out of your shelter. This allows the moisture to escape because moisture equals cold. So similarly, allowing hot, humid air from your sweat and breath to vent out of your helmet will keep you warm. It's also a good idea to get a fog-resistant helmet visor or use anti-fog spray. Hot breath stuck inside your helmet on a cold day will fog up your visor faster than two teenagers inside a Buick parked on Lover's Lane. And inside that full-face helmet, you'll want some sort of neck gaiter or balaclava for added insulation and protect your neck and prevent air from flowing into your jacket or helmet. Balaclavas are really nice. You may look like a Swedish bank robber, but it's kind of a really nice thing to have. As for the rest of your riding gear, layering is the name of the game. You'll want to wear some sort of water-wicking insulated base layer. There are motorcycle-specific brands or just any sort of Under Armour or general cold weather athletic base layer will work. Don't ignore the water-wicking part because, as I mentioned earlier, moisture in the cold is no good. You don't want to get nice and sweaty when the sun is starting to shine, and then only to turn into a human popsicle once the sun sets or some clouds roll in. On top of the base layer, underneath your jacket, you're going to want another layer like a light fleece jacket, something that's insulated but not large enough to make your jacket ill-fitting, as you're still going to want to have some mobility on your bike. Lots of jackets include an inner liner, and that's a really nice thing to have too. On your legs, you can try to wear a layer on top of your base beneath your riding pants, which may be tricky depending on the fitment, or you can wear over the pants on top of your layers. That will be the most effective, but potentially a little costly. For your final layers, you're going to want to find something waterproof. Weather can be pretty unpredictable in the wintertime, and getting wet and cold can lead to hypothermia. And I've checked with a couple scientists, and you don't want that. As for boots and gloves, insulation is the key. Motorcycle-specific boots and gloves designed for winter use will give you the best of both worlds protection on the cold and crashes. Here's some of the gear we have on shop.yamini.co that we really like for winter riding. First Gear makes some really solid, great weatherproof cold weather motorcycle gear. Their Kathmandu 2.0 jacket is a perfect jacket for winter riding. It's 100% waterproof, adjustable vents to keep heat in and moisture out, and a removable liner. Even though it is designed for cold weather, you won't sacrifice any protection with the CE certified protection panels on the shoulders, elbows, and back. First Gear makes some cool accessories to go with this jacket as well, like a heated liner. The heated liner seamlessly attaches to the inside of the Kathmandu jacket for a perfect, comfortable fitment. The heated liner is also waterproof and uses moisture-wicking fabric to keep you dry. It has 7 different heated panels to distribute warmth across your entire torso, and while this liner is designed to work perfectly with First Gear jackets, it can work underneath just about any riding jacket. First Gear also makes a heated glove liner that will really take your hand warming game to the next level if heated grips just aren't cutting it for you. All of this winter gear can be found over at shop.yamnoob.co. Members of yamnoob.co get 10% off, and every dollar you spend gets an entry to win one of our fantastic giveaway motorcycles. We're actually revealing a new one next week. It's going to be pretty cool. Head over to shop.yamini.co and get prepared for winter. All right, so your bike is ready and your gear is ready. What is actually riding a motorcycle in the winter like? Essentially, you have to be far more cautious when riding in the winter. Your tires are cold and the road is cold, the paint strips and tar snakes get as slippery as ice rinks. If the road gets salted where you live, the loose salt pebbles can be slippery as riding on gravel. It's totally manageable, but you can get in trouble if you're not expecting it. Plus, winter weather is unpredictable. If you're riding in winter, you should expect that it is inevitable that you will experience rain, sleet, snow, or all of the above depending on where you live. And riding on snow or ice can be super sketchy. It's already covered and snowed and there isn't much clear pavement, so maybe take the family truck to work that day instead. If you're out riding and it begins to snow, make sure to proceed with caution or consider pulling over to a warm place and wait for conditions to clear up. It's not only hard to ride a motorcycle on snow or ice, it is literally harder to drive, which also makes it much more dangerous to ride with other cars who might lose traction and slide around on the road. It's also hard on your body to ride in the cold. Not only is it unpleasant, but your body has to work harder to maintain your temperature, meaning you will become more tired more easily. You'll also begin to lose dexterity in your hands and feet, making it difficult to brake and shift efficiently. Bearing this in mind, know when to call it. Don't be too prideful and keep riding despite unsafe conditions or physical discomfort. Maybe do a few short rides first to test your limits and know where you're comfortable with before embarking on serious rides in wintertime. And if you intend on doing some longer rides in colder weather, make friends with somebody with a truck who can come bail you out if it becomes unsafe or unbearable. For my money, guys, if it's snowing, icing, raining, in the super cold weather or anything like that, I just don't really think you should be out riding. Wait for another day. Life is long. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Do you ride all year long? Let me know your experience down below. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell. I will catch you later. Fact. You can tell the temperature by counting a cricket's chirps. The simplest method is to count the number of chirps in 15 seconds and add 40. The sum usually approximates the temperature within a few degrees Fahrenheit. Goodbye. Well, look at you. You've made it to the end of another Yammy Noob video. You should consider yourself pretty lucky because I have curated this one right over here for you to continue watching. It's probably just as good as the one you just saw. Unless you hated the one you just saw. I don't know, maybe leave me a comment down below about how much you hated it as well too. Or just keep watching this one. Make sure you keep watching Yammy Noob. Don't forget to keep watching Yammy Noob. That's the most important thing. Keep watching Yammy Noob.